Hey there, it's Mitzi. Welcome to my channel and welcome to another 5-Book Friday. I am super excited about this 5-Book Friday because we're kicking off the More Montgomery Challenge today. Today is November 1st and all during the month of November we will be celebrating all things Lucy Maud Montgomery. And so if you want to join us, I will leave links to Sonia and Elizabeth's channel. They are hosting this with me. Their links will be below as well as all of the prompts. We're going to be our group read this year will be A Tangled Web, so you can read that with us too. And then on November 30th, we are going to celebrate with a live stream birthday party for Lucy Maud Montgomery because her birthday was November 30th. And so we're going to have a birthday party for Lucy Maud Montgomery on Elizabeth's channel. She'll be hosting the live stream there at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure that you follow Sonia and Elizabeth as we go through all of this during the More Montgomery Challenge. I'm super excited about it. So for this 5-Book Friday, I thought I would kick off More Montgomery Challenge with a 5-Book Friday related to Anne of Green Gables. Now this book is by Lucy Maud Montgomery. It's one of the best books, by the way, of all time. If you have not read this particular book by Lucy Maud Montgomery, this is where you need to start. So go ahead and grab this one this month and you can, that would be your way of participating in the More Montgomery Challenge. But if you're coming over to this video because you love Anne of Green Gables and you're looking for more books like this book, then I have a few for you. I have 5 books that I think are very similar to Anne of Green Gables. So if you enjoyed this one and this series, you may enjoy these too. Now, Anne of Green Gables was published in 1908, again by Lucy Maud Montgomery, and it's about a little orphan named Anne Shirley who is taken to live with brother and sister who have never married or had children, and they were looking for adopting a boy, but Anne Shirley is brought to them instead. And every chapter is filled with like little episodes of things that Anne gets into and her relationship with this brother and sister duo, Marilla and Matthew, and the people in this community. And it's just heartwarming and cozy and just a beautiful read. And I love, again, the whole series, but this one is truly my favorite of the series, the first one. Now, Anne Shirley is such a unique, wonderful character. She has such a unique, she has such an imagination. She's very creative and she has this great imagination. And so it makes her such a unique character. It's hard to find books that are similar. But I did find some with that type of character in it. So I tried to find books that were as close to Anne Shirley, Anne of Green Gables as possible. So the first one I want to talk about is Heidi. And the reason that I chose Heidi, oh wait a minute, I'm looking on my laptop to tell you the publication dates. So Heidi was published in 1880. And the reason I chose Heidi is because it's the same type of story in that it's heartwarming. Heidi is in fact an orphan and she also goes to live with someone else. It's a sort of a grumpy old grandfather and how her love and optimism changes the grandfather and other people too, and her friendships and things along the way. So that's why I recommend Heidi, because it does have the same sort of optimism and just loving character as Anne. So that's why I recommend Heidi. And again, that was published in 1880, so it's a little bit older than Anne of Green Gables. The next one I want to recommend is Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm by Kate Douglas Wiggin. This was published in 1903, and I'll tell you, when I first read this, I looked at the publication date because to me it's really similar to Anne of Green Gables, and so I looked to see which one came first because I feel like one was inspired by the other. And I'm not sure about that, but they are very close in the premise as well as the characters. Rebecca and Anne are very similar characters. So if you enjoyed Anne of Green Gables, I highly recommend trying Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm. Now, I still love Anne of Green Gables more, but this is just a wholesome, fun read too. And this one, Rebecca, her father has died a few years prior, and her mother is, they have family debt. They're in debt. So the mother sends her off for a better education with her 2 aunts on this farm. And so she goes there, and she gets into a lot of situations that are very similar to Anne and how Anne handles things. So that's why I recommend this as a similar book like Anne of Green Gables. But it was published a few years earlier in 1903. The next one I want to mention is Pollyanna. This was published in 1913. And this one read a whole lot like Anne of Green Gables too. And actually, I noticed one of the comments about this on Goodreads. I was going to read a couple of sentences from that because she explains it better than I can. She says, Pollyanna was published only 4 years after Anne of Green Gables, and both stories have a similar storyline. It says, a plucky young girl of 11 or so is orphaned, has nowhere to go. Both Pollyanna and Anne struggle with their appearance, and both are received in a lackluster way by new caregivers who aren't sure they really want them. And that is true in both situations. Now, it does change in Pollyanna. Pollyanna plays what she calls the glad game, and that's kind of how she wins over the hearts of the people in her, in her new surroundings, where Anne is just her imagination that does that. So there are some differences, but they do read very similar. And so I do recommend Pollyanna if you enjoy Anne of Green Gables too. The fourth one I want to recommend is A Fair Barbarian. This is by Frances Hodgson Burnett, the one who wrote The Secret Garden, if you're familiar with that one, which of course you probably are. This one is one that is not as well known, but I really enjoyed this book. It was published in 1880. And to me, it's similar to Anne Shirley because it is about a young girl who moves somewhere else and changes things. So in this one, it's a young girl who is from America, and she moves to this small English town. It is the 1880, so it's the late 1800s. And things there, they have their, certain rules and all of those things that they practice in this little town that she doesn't know about. And so when she moves to the town, things are just different. and it ends up being just this sweet story like these others that I've mentioned, and how her optimism and her love for everyone around her changes everything. And so it's one of those kind of books, and I highly recommend A Fair Barbarian. I think this is underrated. I think we should hear more about this one in particular. So I'm happy to recommend A Fair Barbarian by Frances Hodgson Burnett as my fourth for a book similar to Anne of Green Gables. And then the last one I want to recommend is Jane of Lantern Hill. And I wanted to recommend this one because it is by Lucy Maud Montgomery. So if you loved her writing style in Anne of Green Gables, I think you'll enjoy this one too. It was published in 1937. And so she wrote this one quite a while after she wrote Anne of Green Gables. But to me, Jane, the main character, she's very similar. The situation she's in is very similar in a lot of the Lucy Maud Montgomery books. There's this family dynamic that Lucy Maud Montgomery always seems to write in a lot of her stories. In this particular one, she goes to live, I don't want to say too much because at the very beginning you learn this situation, but she is at the beginning living with her grandmother and her mother, and her father is absent for reasons you find out about. And then later on she goes and moves and lives with someone else, and again all of them's always about them moving somewhere else and readjusting pretty much to this new surrounding. And so that's what happens in this one. But again, she's a loving, optimistic person, and I love her spirit in this one a whole lot. So those are the 5 books that I think you would enjoy if you do love the Anne of Green Gables series. I hope that you'll give one of these a try. Let me know if you've read any of these, and also let me know if you think of any that I didn't mention that are very similar to Anne of Green Gables, so I can try that one too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.